Hey, you should subscribe. Hello everybody, and welcome back to playing Subnautica until... Wait a second. That's not this series. This isn't a series at all. I'm in creative mode. There's an eclipse. You know, I don't know why I said that like that doesn't always happen in Subnautica. But anyway, what I'm trying to get at is, this is not the normal weekly series, but here we are anyway. I'm actually doing a challenge video. But more specifically, we're going to be recreating the Degasi bases. But, you know, they're going to look like how they would have looked before they got all torn down and destroyed and got old and all that. I'm going to be building them in kind of a line right here. I don't really have any better places to build them. There's not a lot of good flat areas in Subnautica. So this will probably have to do. We'll see if we use this spot for all of them, but we'll try our best. And really, what better base to start with than the island base, which technically there's 3 pieces, and we will be building all 3 pieces. And I would love to build it on land, but just like the lack of flat areas, there's also a lack of flat ground to build on. So we're just gonna have to make do with the water. Anyway, let's go get started. Alright, now of course the main piece of the island base has a multi-purpose room. There's normally a broken window right here, but of course I imagine they didn't build it to be broken. And then they actually have a T compartment that goes out this way, as well as an I compartment there. And then they have a T compartment kind of angled like that, as well as a single I compartment there. Now, in the actual base, it's broken off here, and this piece of the base fell down, but of course, it wouldn't be like that when they originally built it, and that's the whole idea of this video. Now, there's a ton of glass all over this T compartment, and over on this piece of the X compartment, normally there is a bulkhead, but again, we're underwater, so we're gonna have to make do with a hatch. And on this piece of the compartment that fell down, it had a reinforcement on it as well. Although surprisingly enough, there's not a reinforcement on this side. I'm not really quite sure, but that's just the way it was created. And of course on this side of the multi-purpose room there's a window as well. And for this piece, that actually makes up the entirety of the exterior. So let's move on to the interior. Starting with the multi-purpose room, there's a lot of debris normally here, but with a closer look, it's actually covered in wall planters. Yes, there are wall planters on each and every side here. I don't know why they built it like that, but who knows. There's also a desk about here. I have to imagine that it got pushed around by debris, so I'm guessing that it was probably more over here. It's kind of hard to tell, you can't figure out exactly what the intentions were, and of course, there's nothing else there. Again, for all we know, there's stuff covered up by debris that would normally be along this wall, but it's really impossible to know. Moving on with the rest of the base. There's a couple wall planters put around right here, and of course a ladder, which sadly you can't rotate ladders, so we're not able to get it in the exact rotation, but it's good enough. There's also normally a storage box right here, and although we can't replicate that, I think really the closest thing we can come to is a regular wall locker, which I suppose serves the same purpose. And funnily enough, up here there actually isn't anything inside the base. And although this base is very lackluster on decoration and the interior, it is technically accurate to the one you find on the island. Now of course there's 2 other pieces on the floating island, both of which are pretty small and both sit on the top of the peaks there. However, they do still count, and we will still be making them. Now of course this one has a T compartment with a hatch. Again, we can't replicate the bulkhead they have, but this will be the closest we can come. And they also have a spotlight up here as well, so we can include that too. This piece of course continues with an I compartment and an observatory at the end, along with a window on this side, a window on this side, as well as a reinforcement here. Now continuing with the interior, this base also has a storage container here, although just like the other one we can't really do that, so we'll just have to make do with a locker again. And in this specific piece of the base, there is an indoor grow bed. Now here we have all of the seeds that normally go in here, however, they can't actually all fit. So although it is sad to see, we will sadly have to get rid of one grub basket seed. I know, boo-hoo, right? Now, after being given some time to grow, this is what you turn up with. It kinda looks like the one in the Degasi base, but of course they didn't use an actual indoor planter. They just, kinda put the plants there. So this is really the closest we can get to that. Now, moving on with the final island base, we start with an X compartment, followed by an I compartment, followed by an observatory. This piece has a window, and there's also a window up here, which I, for one, have always missed. Next up on this side, there's of course another window, as well as a hatch. And actually, 2 different spotlights here too. Going on with the interior, we have 2 plant pots on this side, of which are filled with a Chinese potato and a marble melon, which after being given time to grow, looks something like this. And finally in the observatory, we have a desk and a chair, which is actually all there is for the entire floating island. And I'm starting to realize now we definitely don't have enough room to put all the bases here, so we will have to move to a different location, and I think this spot right here looks great for our Jellyshroom base. Now, strangely enough, this base actually kind of breaks the rules of Subnautica building. Normally, if you want to build a multi-purpose room, you have to build it on one of the corners, but in-game it's right in the middle. So we're gonna have to make do with what we have and build a multi-purpose room right here. Normally it would be more towards the center of the foundation, but there's literally nothing we can do for that. Now here there's 2 windows on each side, along with an I compartment that goes out here, followed by 2 reinforcements, 1 on each side, and a hatch. Now of course this piece fell off and is kind of sitting in the dirt, but realistically, I would imagine it'd be attached. Next there's an I glass compartment, followed by an X compartment, and of course more foundations. Here we can find another I compartment, which just like the other one has 2 reinforcements, as well as a hatch. Of course that's followed up with an I glass compartment and a T compartment over on this side. Oh yeah, and one of the most recognizable pieces of this base, the 2 vertical connectors here, which both lead up to a secondary area with an observatory. Now there's a whole lot of windows up here, so we're going to make sure to get all of those in. And over here we have another multi-purpose room, another foundation, and a hatch going out this side. There is a window right here, and a wall planter right here, another window back here, and 2 wall planters around these sides. Around the back here we have a window on each side, along with a reinforcement on the back, along with yet another window, a water filtration machine, you guessed it, another window, and a reinforcement. There is a whole lot of stuff on the exterior here. But now we just have the interior to work on. When we come through here, there's a desk over here, along with a swivel chair, of course. A type of locker which we normally can't recreate in Subnautica. So again, really the closest thing we can come to is a regular locker. Over on this side, we have another desk. Of course, another swivel chair, because what is a desk without a swivel chair? And nothing over on this side. We obviously can't forget the 2 ladders which go up. You need to actually access this area somehow. Right here we have just a basic double bed. Over here, you guessed it, another desk with another swivel chair. Oh yeah, and another wall locker here. And that actually finishes up the interior of this base. Which, of course, means the entire base here is done. So we can move on to the Grand Reef base. Alright. Now the Grand Reef base has 4 foundations along here. And just like the Jellyshroom base, it kind of breaks the rules by having the multi-purpose rooms right in the center. So we're just going to have to do the best we can and put them a little offset. They've got 3 of them stacked up here, a hatch on this side, as well as 2 observatories, 1 on each side here. They've got a truly absurd amount of windows. I mean, they really just have so many windows. Again, it's really just a little over the top, don't you think? Now out on this side, they have an X compartment, T compartment, and 1 I compartment. Hatch at the end to actually get into the base. And again, with the just amount of windows on this place. No wonder they flooded so quickly. This place is literally made of glass. There's more glass here than actual compartment. But anyway, on the inside, through this hallway, there's actually nothing. I don't remember spadefish being part of the interior. But on the bottom layer here, we have a desk with, surprisingly enough, no chair. There's also a coffee machine that normally sits right here, although we can't do that, so really just putting it there will have to do. There's a single bed on this side, a double bed on this side. For whatever reason, they have a picture frame here, which I can only imagine what they used it for, and a couple lockers around the sides here. They also have a few carry-alls, which I guess we can include. But that's this floor. So let's move on to the next floor. Which, you know, why would they have a ladder? I mean, that would just be silly, wouldn't it? So up here, they've got a ladder right completely opposite of the hatch, with a very intrusive aquarium right in the middle. Over in this observatory, they actually don't really have anything. Really all they have is a storage container, so again, I think the best we're going to come to that is a storage locker. And over around this side, they've got another desk with specifically a command chair, I guess. Well, if it works, it works. Okay, final room. I believe this is a sort of science lab. Right opposite of the ladder, we've got a desk with a swivel chair. Over around this side, we have a counter with a nuclear waste disposal. On the opposite side, we have another counter, along with a monitor here, and the closest we can come to that is the base color monitor we have, which, you know, of course is a mod, but who really cares? Between this counter and the ladder, we have technically not a storage container or box, but again, this is the closest thing we're going to come to it. There's not really a whole lot of better options here. And it's kind of the same story on this side too. Oh yeah, and this side as well. Over here, it's a bit of a different story. Normally, you can't really recreate the sort of monitor thing that's here, but we do have a picture frame, so I guess that works. Around here, we have a microscope, as well as where the orange tablet would normally be. Another microscope over here, a sample analyzer, as well as a fallen over fluid analyzer. Oh, and here's a picture for reference. Now, I'll be completely honest, there's probably a few things I missed at each base, but for the most part, I've gotten everything, I think. But there is still some time left in the video, so I think now I'm gonna rate each base based on its survivability. So, the first thing which each base really suffers from, there's no power source. There's no place that they're getting their power from. There's no solar panels, there's no bioreactor, thermal plant, or nuclear reactor in any of them. I'll give it to the floating island, they do have a very nice source of food. Although I guess the Jellyshroom cave base does also have a good source of water in, you know, form of the filtration machine. All of them also have a good amount of storage as well. But really, you know what else I think these are suffering from? Every single one. They all have the complete lack of a fabricator. A fabricator of all things. You would think that would be the most basic, essential thing you would need in a base, but no, none of these have that. Which one of the Degasi crew's idea was it to not put a fabricator on their base? Now, when it comes to survivability, I think the floating island base probably takes the cake. They do have a good source of food, both food and water, and although the Jellyshroom cave base does have a filtration machine, it's not really helping for food. When it comes to just looking cool, I think I'm probably gonna have to give that to the Grand Reef base. And although it's not really that, you know, useful, it does look nice, especially with all the windows. So I think that's probably going to do it for this video. Sorry for no weekly series upload, but, you know, I do actually enjoy doing other things, believe it or not. And I hope you enjoyed this video as well, so please do make sure to tell me what you thought of it, as it has been a very, very, very long time since I've done one of these. But I'll see you in the next video, which will probably be next week. See ya!